Welcome to Speak Dial on Finding Help with Special Needs. I am Lola Anegi. Today, I shall be speaking to us about the reasons why children behave when you have to teach them skills or a new activity. So as teachers, as parents, as therapists, as support staff for children with special needs, you realize that children tend to behave in non-compliant ways simply because they're trying to communicate something to us. And if you do not pay attention to that communication, you find out that the children may not acquire the skill and they may not respond to you when you are teaching them. So you might be teaching a skill, you might be teaching a new lesson. You need to identify what that child is trying to communicate to you, because as parents, as teachers, we find this occurring if we pay attention, that you're trying to put a child through a particular skill, and this child does not seem to be interested or does not seem to be getting it. So most children with disabilities, most children with special needs, most children even in our classroom have something they're trying to communicate to us. Once we understand the function or the reason for that behavior, it makes it easier for both parties to get going and get learning going. Now, the first reason why children behave the way they behave, and most importantly, this is for children living with autism. There's something called sensory processing disorder. Most children with special needs, most children with autism would react in certain ways. So for example, if you're trying to teach a child with autism body part and that child has sensory issue with the feelings, if you want to touch his hand to show him that is hand, you realize it jacks away or it just moves away. That is a reason for that behavior. It's not like the child doesn't want to learn. There's a sensory processing issue. So that the reason for that behavior is because of the sensory challenge is experiencing. Now, another reason why children, particularly children with special needs, would exhibit non-compliant behavior is because of escape or avoidance of task. Now, these children might feel that they cannot do it. They do not have the belief or the intrinsic motivation to do what you've asked them to do. So they don't want to fail. So they rather run away or throw a tantrum or cause trouble in your classroom. So when you see that, just know that the function of that behavior is for escape or avoidance of task. And once you know the reason for the behavior or the function of the behavior, it makes it easy for you to come up with a plan or a strategy to encourage these children to learn, and then you find out that they are learning what you want them to learn. Another reason is attention. They're seeking for attention. They want you to see that they can do certain things. They want you to see that they have a new toy. They want you to see that they can now probably whistle. They can now snap their fingers. They can do things, and they want you to see and identify and recognize that they're able to do that thing. So sometimes you want to teach a child probably 3-letter words, and this child is very good with 2-letter words. So each time you're trying to say art gives you cat, the child just go ass gives you ass. You feel that this child is talking off point, but he's trying to show you that I know something, celebrate me for this thing. So they're seeking for attention. You need to pay attention to that so that your class or your intervention or your therapy session does not get obstructed by the fact that the child wants you to give him or her attention. Another reason for behavior is access to tangibles. So they want something. They want to have candy. They want to have their toy. They want to have their building block. They want to have water. They want something. So we want to pay attention to the reason why this child is behaving the way it's behaving. What is the reason? Could it be access to tangible? So the child wants something. Your ability to identify what it is that the child is trying to communicate to you at that time would also help you to ensure that your session, your classroom is as peaceful and as cooperative as possible, so that the children in your classroom can learn. The child during your intervention session can learn, during your therapy session can learn. You need to understand the reasons for this behavior. Now, the first 4 that I've mentioned It particularly relates to children with disabilities. It particularly relates to children with autism, children with Down syndrome. Sensory most times relate to children with autism. That's whenever a child behave and you find that behave in a non-compliant way, and you find out that this is going on, and the sensory is a function of the behavior, that child is most likely with autism. So we've talked about sensory. We talked about escape or avoidance of task. That's the third one. The third one is attention. They're looking for attention. Pay attention to me is what you're trying to say. And then the fourth reason is access to tangible. Now, we realize that because our professional our field differs. Sometimes we are therapists, sometimes we are inclusive classroom educators, sometimes we are support staff, sometimes it could be a parent. But this other two reasons for behavior that I'll be talking about happens most time in your classroom. So for classroom teachers, this is for you. You realize that sometimes your children would not pay attention or they exhibit non-compliant behavior. The reason might be for power. So when a child is seeking for power or trying to power tussle, they're trying to say to you that, look, I have a mind of my own. You might tell me to sit and I do not want to sit. I would stand. And if you ask me to sit at that time, I might listen to you and sit. But there will be a day in your classroom that you ask us to stand. And I'm going to tell you that I do not want to stand. And then we begin to tussle back and forth, When such things happen, please avoid tussle with the children. Identify that they are trying to seek power. They want to be in charge. So avoid as much as possible to power tussle with them. Instead, give them choices. It's either you sit down in the next 1 minute, or I'm going to count up to 5 and you sit down, or you leave my classroom. But you need to understand the function of the behavior, that the child is power tussling, or you just give the child a choice to avoid tussling with that child. It's not a good place to be. Now, the last reason that I have to share with you today is revenge. So you have told the child that each time you need to draw, use a pencil. Probably that is a rule in your classroom. Each time we need to draw, we're going to be using pencils. And maybe for some reason, you're not thinking of using colored pencils. And then maybe the next time you want to have arts and craft and you need to draw, you're going to use colored pencil. That child who might want to seek revenge from you by bringing out a pencil as opposed to a colored pencil, maybe just a black pencil, and then they'll start arguing with you, tell you, but you said that we're not allowed to use colored pencil. I mean, for some reason, the first time you tried to do art and craft with that child, he brought out a colored pencil and you insisted that the child should use a black pencil. So the next time, and you're taking that like, okay, now you embarrassed me, or you didn't let me do what I wanted to do. So the next time you come up with the plan and say, look, today guys, we're going to use colored pencils as opposed to black pencils, it's going to rebel and say, no, remember you said that we're going to be using colored pencil to do art and craft. So whenever you're giving instruction, make sure you explain it clearly to the children. Tell them the reasons why you are having them do what they have to do. These are the few things I'm going to be sharing with you today on Speed Dial on finding out with special needs. So let's recap what we've talked about today. We talked about reasons for behavior, and the first reason is sensory. The second reason is escape or avoidance of task. The third reason is attention. This child is seeking for attention. The fourth reason is access. The fourth reason is access to tangible. The fifth reason is power. And the sixth reason is revenge. Once we know all of this, we identify why children are behaving the way they're behaving, and we come up with strategies to help them communicate this functions to us easily. Then we find that learning is easy. The skills you're about to teach is easier to teach, and the kids will acquire all that you want them to acquire. This is what I have to say to you today. Until I come your way again, stay blessed and stay safe. Thank you.